I mean, remember, this is a commodity that is priced in dollar, and of course, a number of buyers are not buying in dollars. So that also there's a correlation between the oil price and a negative correlation between the oil price and the dollar, and that's probably what we have. So there's a real growth behind.
Well, Francois, thank you very much for joining Dukascopy TV today. It's a pleasure to have you in our studio. How are you?
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, it's wonderful for you to be here. Let's start. We're going to talk a bit about oil today. What have you made of the oil price run end of last year, moving into this year?
I mean, it's clearly a huge increase, 50% roughly speaking. Now, there are reasons for that. First, the economy. Look at the economy. Pretty much everywhere it's going, so there's more demand. Now, finally, yes, the supply is popping in, that's right. But the stocks actually are going down and down. But probably the key factor is the dollar. I mean, remember, this is a commodity that is priced in dollar, and of course, a number of buyers are not buying in dollars. So that also there's a correlation between the oil price and a negative correlation between the oil price and the dollar, and that's probably what we have. So there's a real growth behind the price we can see now, the economical growth, and that just makes sense.
Mm-hmm. This morning we saw Brent at $67.5. Do you see any reason for this trend to change?
Well, for now, on the economical standpoint, no, not really. I mean, the growth is still there, and unless we have a market crash somewhere, probably we'll continuing a bit like this. I mean, that's about to be an equilibrium price. Now, of course, there is the geopolitical aspect, and part of the oil is coming from Kurdistan, and Kurdistan is part of Syria, but the part with the oil, it's part of Iraq, also with oil, and obviously there is a number of things happening there. We can see that in the news, not the one we currently are talking about, but the northern Syria is not exactly a quiet zone. You have the Turkish army into that zone, and no one knows exactly what will happen. It's you have the directly or indirectly the US, the Russian, the Turkish in a very small area. So it's a bit hot. Plus, you have a country that technically has a human right of autodetermination. We are talking about a population of 40 million individuals who fought with the idea that they will have a country, and actually they're left without a country and with no one keen to give them a country. So what will happen there, we don't know, but that can definitely have an impact on the oil price.
Now, yeah, you mentioned the Middle East there and Kurdistan in particular. You've spent a lot of time in the Middle East. It's a big area of expertise for you. We've got a wonderful map here of the place. Talk us through some of the issues in this area at the moment, how that's affecting the price, especially Saudi Arabia, how that's affecting the price and what you kind of expect to see moving forward.
Sure. So that Kurdistan I just talked about, just to have an idea, it's the northeast of Syria, the north of Iraq, the east of Turkey, and the northwest of Iran. So that's the Kurdistan we just talked about.
Yeah.
Then we, of course, have the issue around Qatar. Now, Qatar is not an oil big player. I mean, everybody thinks it is, but it's a huge gas player. And if you think about it, their gas fields are very close to Iran, so they have to work together, and they are working together. So there is that, kind of fight or misunderstanding between Qatari and Saudis, Saudis, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates, and that probably will last for some time with probably little effect. Then you have, of course, the internal situation in Saudi Arabia, with that famous, all these princes held in a hotel for months, and actually the crown prince could collect back, according to his say, about $100 billion, so it's a big amount of money. So there's also potential issues there, because he has a lot of enemies, and we never know what can happen in those situations. Yemen, this morning, a number of Saudi generals were dismissed because there were apparently a lot of civilians killed over the past 24 hours, more civilians than usual. But Yemen is not exactly an oil country. However, it's by the Red Sea, which is one of the roads, not for oil, but to go to Europe.
Yeah.
So you have a number of issues out there that can, deteriorate at any time, and we actually don't know what will happen, but that can have a negative impact at any time.
Well, Francois, it's always an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and thank you for sharing your expert knowledge with us. It's really a pleasure.
It was a great pleasure. Thank you for having me again.
You're welcome. And thank you for watching. If you like this interview and would like to find out more, be sure to head over to dukascopy.tv.